Welcome to Trade Pro. This is the release and tutorial video for the newest Trade Pro trading strategy script. This one's called the Trade Pro Awesome Oscillator plus Stochastic RSI plus EMA strategy. It's the 19th trading strategy script to be released on my Patreon page, along with a few indicators as well. So if you are interested in getting access to all of the scripts, the indicators, you can check out my Patreon link in the description down below. But in this video, I'll talk about the exact strategy that this is using to take entries, and we'll go through all the different customizable settings that are within this trading strategy script. So let's get into things. So let's cover what the actual strategy is. How is this taking entries based on what metrics? Well, there's a few metrics that are needed here to take an entry with this strategy. One is the Awesome Oscillator. So when the Awesome Oscillator is in the negative or below the zero line, then the strategy will only be looking to take a short position. And then for the 200 period exponential moving average, if the price is under it, it will only be looking for shorts. If price is over the 200 exponential moving average, the strategy will only look for long entries. Now, the stochastic RSI comes in play for the actual entry part of this, and let's pop that onto the screen so you can see exactly why and where these entries are happening. So let's just zoom in on one of these, and what you can see is price is under the 200 EMA, this white line. Also, the Awesome Oscillator is below the zero line. It's in the negative. And then there's a cross to the downside on the stochastic RSI. So the entry is taken after the candle closes for the stochastic cross to confirm. And that's where we see this entry here. We can take a look at another one right here where all the conditions are met. Cross down on stochastic RSI, Awesome Oscillator in the negative, and prices under the 200 EMA, and so on. So simple strategy using a few filters to filter out the trend direction and then the stochastic RSI to actually give the entry signal. So let's take a look at some long entries now just to fully cover what the actual strategy is. There are a couple recent long entries that were made with this strategy. So we can see that Awesome Oscillator is in the positive, so it's above the zero line. Price is over the 200 EMA here, and we get a cross up on stochastic RSI, which is changeable in the settings, so you can change it to only take crosses that are in the oversold or overbought territory, but at default, these are the settings, which can be changed in many different ways, which I will now cover now that the basic strategy has been outlined and hopefully makes sense. I'll go over one more entry here so you can see this one. We have positive Awesome Oscillator, and we have a cross up on the stochastic RSI that happened in here, although it's not very clear. There was a cross up, so we can see the entry, and this one was a loss. But that's the basic strategy that's being used, and let's get into all the different customizable parameters. Opening up the settings on this, we'll go through each one of the different customizable settings and talk about it. So first of all, enabling the Awesome Oscillator as a filter in general, so a trend filter. You can get rid of it altogether or keep it or change the upper band or lower band parameters. Then there's the stochastic RSI settings, so you can enable that, disable it, or you can restrict the crosses to the overbought or oversold territory, and you can decide where that upper band is and where that lower band is if you want the stochastic RSI to not just take every single cross in the trend's favor, but instead only take crosses that happen in the overbought or oversold territory, depending on the trend direction. Then the EMA filter, so with the trend direction as well, you can change this so that if the price is below the 200 EMA, it will only take shorts. If it's over, it will only take longs, but you can, of course, change that to be the 100 period exponential moving average, the 300 period, whatever you want it to be. And you can also allow it to only have one single entry per EMA cross, so it wouldn't take multiple entries until price has gone up and down over the exponential moving average. And each of these does have an explanation with it. So if you do get access, you can read each of the explanations in more detail. If it doesn't make fully sense, I'll explain it right now. So there's also the ability next for the position entry settings to enable long entries and shorts, or just one or the other. And then you can choose an entry type as well. So whether you want it to just be an instant market entry, to place a limit or a stop order, you can do that as well. Now moving down here, you can restrict entries to a certain date range. You can restrict entries to days and time range as well. You can skip entries if the estimated commission is greater than the estimated profit. And you can also do reverse entries, which it explains here. If enabled, the strategy will open a long position when a short entry is signaled, and it will open a short position when a long entry is signaled. So let's say you found some settings that are absolutely terrible and extremely in the negative, then maybe doing reverse entries might be a good idea. And it's just kind of an interesting thing to have as an option, which some of the other scripts also have as an option with the reverse entries. Now, super important part here is the ability to change how the stop loss is placed and what the strategy around the stop loss is. So you can choose it to be an ATR-based stop loss, moving average of the ATR-based stop loss, a percent-based stop loss, tick-based, wick-based, reward multiplier, or disabled altogether. So you can change the settings for each of those. At default, it sits at the ATR-based stop loss 3 times the ATR value for the stop loss placement. And of course, you can change that right here and along with those other parameters. Now going down here, we have a couple other things such as the dynamic stop loss. So if you enable a dynamic stop loss, you can have a trailing stop loss, or you can have it set to move the stop loss at a certain specified point. So let's say you want the stop loss to move to break even or move into profit at a certain point based on the parameters you set here. You can do that. You can have it trail the stop loss based on the parameters you have set here as well, or you can have it move and trail based on the parameters set down below here. And of course, each of these, as I said earlier, has its own description. So you can look into the specifics if you do want to get access to the script and all the other scripts. Every script does have its own explanation for each part. Now moving on to the take profit strategy, another very important part of any strategy. You can have it be a strict risk multiplier. You can have it be ATR based, moving average of the ATR based, percent based, tick based, or disabled altogether. And below that, we have a secondary take profit strategy. So you can have a multi-stage take profit. So maybe it's not just take profit all at this one price, but half the profit is taken at a certain level, and then the other half is taken at another level, something along those lines. And that can all be customized down here as well. Now we can move on down to the other sections where we can have recalculations of the take profit and stop loss on every candle while the entry is pending. So there's so many different things to get through here, which each of these has a specific explanation for. You can have it close position early if any of the EMAs cross, close position early if stochastic RSI crosses in the opposite direction, close the position early if the opposite direction entry criteria is met, close position early if the price crosses a moving average. So each of these with its own explanation and then customizable parameters. You can also have it close a position after a certain number of minutes, close a position on reaching the end of the trading session, which you can set up above as well, what that trading session is. And then another important factor is the ability to have a dollar cost average entry. So let's say you don't want the entry to be all at one price. If the price keeps going against your entry, you could have it take 1/3 of the entry at the first signal, and then a little bit later, if price keeps going against you, it takes a second entry for the next 1/3, and then the final third. It could be fourths, it could be 1/5 at a time. You can customize that all here. So a dollar cost averaging style of entry if price keeps going against the initial first entry, and it's all customizable here. And then finally, we have the activate custom order size settings. Right now, I just have it set to risk 1% of the account equity per trade. So that way, when you're looking at the back testing results, you can kind of get an idea of the maximum drawdown and the potential profit based on the historical data. And of course, historical data and back testing is not indicative of future results and never it will be. So it's the best you can do is test on previous data and then forward test, obviously paper trade, and test things going forward into the future as well. Down here, we have alert settings, so you can set alerts and also set it up with a website like capitalize.ai or 3 commas to automate your trading using the strategy. So that kind of gets through everything with this one. As usual, tons of different customizable features and parameters that you can go through. And as usual, this is not meant to be a financial advice machine. This is purely just a helpful tool so that you can get suggestions and paper trade and practice. So not advising anyone to go out and risk money. I'm not a financial advisor, and you should not take the signals or strategies as a proven method to make money in the markets. Purely a tool that you can use, make up your own mind based on what you want to do. You can use other factors in combination with it, use it for alerts. But anyway, again, to get access, if you're interested in this or any of the other trading scripts or strategies, indicators, and learning my personal trading strategy, Patreon link is in the description. And always, thank you guys for watching. Hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.